Nut.
Good evening, everyone. It's almost Christmas. It's also almost the election. This video is being recorded the night that it happens, so I hope I still have a country to wake up to tomorrow. While I'm sure the rest of social media is absolutely on fire right about now, let's take a moment to talk about one of life's greatest mysteries, the horny. Yep, it is that time of year again. Did you lose already? What a shame. November is that special time of the year where thousands of Wojak profile accounts declare that for an entire month, they will stop the gooshing from slooshing. They will refrain from, slooping the tubing. They're not gonna bust a nut, is what I'm talking about. I have received a lot of comments on the last few videos requesting that I do a video on No Nut November. And trust me guys, I have always been 2 steps ahead. No Nut November is this really weird tradition where a lot of online men will try to go the entire month without ejaculating, with the intention of kicking the habit for good. This brings up a lot of questions. Where did this bizarre practice even come from? Is it working? And does this habit even need to be kicked in the first place? All those burning questions and more answered right now. Right at this very moment.
Right now!
Middle school English teachers, eat your heart out. Because, according to Wikipedia, No Nut November, also known as and abbreviated to NNN, is an annual internet challenge of sexual abstinence and not masturbating during the month of November. It originated in 2011 and grew in popularity among male users of social media during and after 2017. It's been in the mainstream for the last few years, and I would agree that it was probably the strongest around 2017. Basically, it's just don't masturbate during November. But I can't really say basically it's this, because to my surprise, it's actually more complicated than that. And to understand why, we have to read the actual rules for No Nut November. They were carved into stone by Redditors, so of course they are overly complicated and confusing. Rule number 1. Any loopholes such as nut coupons, birthday freebies, 3 strikes rule, or anything of the sort will disqualify you from the challenge. If you are looking for any loopholes of the sort, then you've already lost. I've seen some of these rules floating around the last couple years. Sounds like some people are losing the challenge, so they're coping hard by making up rules like the 3 strikes rule. Doesn't count, sports fans. All or nothing, I guess. Rule number 2. Wet dreams do not count. And I think that's pretty fair. You have no real control over a wet dream. If you're not familiar, a wet dream is when you have a dream where you are having sex, basically. Pretty cool. But you usually can't control what kind of dreams you have, or if you even have a dream at all. So you're all good. This is a loophole that does not cause you to lose the challenge. But keep in mind rule number 3. Lucid wet dreams do disqualify you. I don't know who out there has mastered the ancient technique of nut bending and can control whenever they get a lucid wet dream, but it's so impressive that I think you should be allowed to do this. Like, I'm sure America's Got Talent would love to have you. And you might think, well, that's all great, so let's get started. But hold on, everyone, because not every No Nut November member agrees with these rules. And on top of that, some of these rules actually seem to contradict each other, and they contradict the point of the entire challenge. Another paragraph here that I'm just gonna read to you. To clarify, the challenge is about abstinence from orgasming, not abstinence from any other thing. Watching pornography, spending time with your partner, masturbating, and even having sex is totally allowed. It's only climaxing or having an orgasm that disqualifies you. So we have to take the name of the challenge to its most literal definition to make this all make sense. No nut November. You can do everything else, but if the goosh starts to sploosh, you're in trouble. I think this loophole really misses the point of the whole thing. It's to get you to spend your time doing more productive things than just masturbating. But if you're allowed to masturbate, then you're edging, which is wasting even more time, typically. You could be doing more productive things than masturbating, like, I don't know, dancing? But according to this rule, you can still masturbate for 12 hours straight, like all good. You just can't finish. It's a very nut-centric way of looking at sex in general. And you'll see why later when I go over the psychology behind this whole challenge. I should also mention a discrepancy here. To many people, NNN is just a meme. It's not meant to be taken seriously. But for just as many other people, it's a legitimate tactic to overcome what they would call a disease, as this article points out. An Urban Dictionary entry for No Nut November was published in 2011, and in 2017, the movement started to gain popularity on social media. It is also commonly associated with the NoFap community on Reddit, which encourages its members to not masturbate. The Reddit community r/No Nut November grew from 16,500 subs in November 2018 to 52,000 subs in November 2019. And as of right now, it rests at 100,000 members. Pretty big. I have to assume this Reddit board is populated by both meme creators who just think the whole thing is funny, and also people who are actually trying to get through it. They're trying to spread the good word instead of spreading the seed. There's a lot of nut-related terms out there, and they are often incorrectly used interchangeably. To avoid confusion, let's define these terms. No Nut November refers to the actual challenge of lasting an entire month without ejaculating. As far as I can tell, it does not, in most cases, restrict porn watching, although this may depend on who you ask. It's a less serious tradition than NoFap. NoFap is a Reddit board that supports its members who are trying to overcome masturbation and porn watching. They're a little more serious in their attempts to kick the habits. Ejaculation is the expulsion of semen from your penis.
Why do you come here?
You can technically still use the term when talking about women masturbating, but it's most commonly referred to when talking about dudes. An orgasm is the contraction of muscles, which typically leads to ejaculation, but not always. How does one orgasm and not ejaculate? It's weird. You have to find where certain muscles on your body are and hold them down for 10 seconds. I guess your dick takes a screenshot. I'm not entirely sure. It's like literally a cheat code for your body. And I am not opening that can of worms today. But yes, you can in fact orgasm without ejaculating. And this is where a lot of No Nut November and NoFap followers will try to beat the challenge using this technique. Now, edging is bringing yourself to the point of ejaculation, but pulling back right before you get there. As per the rules of No Nut November, edging is totally fine. You just can't let it slip. Edging might also be referred to as semen retention. Now, if you're edging outside of the challenge, some people may do it just to make the resulting ejaculation more powerful, but results may vary. Edging is also referred to as gooning, and our final term, blue balls. It can happen when you edge, especially if you edge for a long period of time. Your balls don't literally turn blue, although that would be pretty funny, but you might feel some pain. This pain won't last long. Just give your dick a rest, and everything should go back to normal in no time. So hopefully that cleared up some confusion in the terms. One last thing before we really dive into whether or not it's a healthy or unhealthy practice. This is just some funny trivia I ran into while doing research for this video. Apparently, there's an episode of Seinfeld called The Contest, where everyone makes a bet that they can last the longest without masturbating. The Wikipedia for this episode says it's season 4, episode 11, if you're curious. There is also a National Masturbation Day. which was originally held on May 7th, 1995, as a way to honor Jocelyn Elders, who was a Surgeon General and an advocate for sex education and masturbation. This is what she said when asked if masturbation was a healthy way to prevent some unwanted pregnancies. Quote, "As per your specific question in regard to masturbation, I think that it is something that is part of human sexuality, and it's a part of something that perhaps should be taught, but we've not even taught our children the very basics. And I feel that we have tried ignorance for a very long time, and it's time we try education." Now, that is a based opinion if I ever heard one. Unfortunately, Elders' comments on masturbation caused great controversy and resulted in her losing the support of the White House. The president's chief of staff, Leon Panetta, remarked, "There have been too many areas where the president does not agree with her views. This is just one too many." In December of 1994, Elders was forced to resign by President Clinton. Masturbation is silly? Here, we have people that will do that for you. Alright, enough with the silly trivia. Let's get to the real potatoes.
I have potato blood in my veins.
The real question that everyone wants the answer to. Does it work? Will holding in my nut give me superpowers or what? Well, this article here gives reasons for it and also gives reasons against it. I chose this article because it seems to be pretty unbiased, and it examines both sides of the argument, which I can really appreciate. First, the case against it. Quote from the article. "While not orgasming for a month probably won't hurt you, there doesn't seem to be much scientific support for its benefits. If anything, there are counter-indications that a healthy sex life can lower your blood pressure, can make it easier to fall asleep, and can even help prevent prostate cancer. So, by logic, it would make sense that participating in NNN actually removes these benefits. And let's actually get into that last one. You've definitely heard of the claim that masturbation lowers prostate cancer risk. And look, we all kind of pretend that that's why we do it. That's not why we do it. It'd be great, sure, but is there any actual evidence for that? Can we actually make that excuse? Well, Harvard Health Publishing has a very recently published article that links increased masturbation rates and decreased risks of prostate cancer, which is supported by other sites as well. But it should be mentioned that while there is a link, scientists haven't yet determined the root cause of this link. Correlation does not equal causation. Some will claim that there is cause, and it's because that semen has this chemical that builds up in the body, and you need to literally ejaculate it from your system. However, it's also important to know that if you don't masturbate, this doesn't just build up in your body. Semen doesn't just stay there. It's eventually flushed out naturally through your urine. That's right, urine is part sperm. There is nothing to do with this information. So the case against No Nut November has a potential point. Masturbation has been found to decrease prostate cancer risk, even though we don't really know why. While we're on the topic, I should also dispel the myth that you can run out of sperm. I remember this is something that genuinely scared me. When I first started masturbating, I thought I was gonna run out. While human females have a finite number of eggs they can produce, men create sperm and therefore semen, which means we can produce it indefinitely. You will not run out if you wank it too hard and too much. Now, you can temporarily disable ejaculation if you do it too many times right after one another, because your body needs time to build it back up again. It's called the refractory period. But once you do, you're good to go. Do it again. Frequent masturbation isn't a habit that you really need to kick to avoid any negative physiological effects. You cannot and will not run dry. To add insult to blue ball injury, according to this same article, even the idea that No Nut November might help people who compulsively masturbate seems scientifically dubious. There are 0 random assignment clinical trials that support abstinence as a part of treatment for compulsive sexual behaviors, says psychophysiologist and neuroscientist Nicole Prouse. Basically, what they're saying here is that the whole point of No Nut November seems to be to get you to stop compulsively masturbating. But we haven't found evidence of it actually achieving that goal. We have not found evidence of it actually curbing those behaviors long term. You can go the whole month not masturbating, but if you truly do have a mental health block and you compulsively masturbate, even when it doesn't make sense to, even when you don't want to, then abstaining for 30 days isn't going to help you. It's not going to be enough to stop you. At that point, you should seek actual medical advice or therapy. And no, you don't have a problem if you masturbate once a day, twice a day. If you have a reason to do it, and you are actually controlling when you do it, you don't have a problem. Some people need to do it once a week. Some people need to do it 3 times a day. It's all normal. Some people have higher sex drives. It's fine. I am someone who does it more often, just because that's my current situation and that's just what I do. Some people truly masturbate with zero control over their own body and mind. Like, they don't even want to, but they do it anyway. I'll eventually make a video on that as well, but most people do not have this true compulsion to, like, furiously masturbate. So, gotta be honest, not looking too spicy for the NNN fans right about now. The benefits they say you'll get are bogus, and you're actually stopping yourself from getting the real benefits of lowered blood pressure, improved mood, and lowered risk of prostate cancer. There can also be some added mental stress when one loses No Nut November. They might feel incredibly ashamed of themselves, which can lead to actual toxic self-harm behaviors. But this is a video about No Nut November, and we need to give it a fair shake. Lucky for us, this web article covers both sides of the argument. There's nothing wrong with deciding to master your domain for a month. I'm not one to kink shame, and some would argue that there is something admirable about choosing to delay pleasure for its own sake, like a cleanse or a fast. And they're right. Self-control is a good thing, and I'm sure lots of people have been able to regain some self-control through disciplines like this. Abstaining from pleasure as a way of exerting power over your own urges is nothing new. No Nut November is at least somewhat similar to religious traditions, revolving around abstinence, like the Lenten season in Catholicism. Even if the aims are very different, it's not like people are giving up chocolate or not busting a nut because they're reflecting upon Christ's suffering. Also, masturbation does take up a lot of time, and if you're skipping a few sessions here and there, you're just freeing up time that you could do other stuff. Like, no joke, I have had sessions that have lasted for 12 hours. I am not kidding. I would tell you if I was kidding. I mean, I sat down for 12 hours and did nothing else. I forgot to eat. It's a video for another day. It was an experience. While it's fun to do that every once in a while, it's not healthy to do that all the time. So skipping sessions here and there, maybe shortening the session, it's not the worst thing you could do. I've got shit to do. I've got YouTube videos to make. So after going through the arguments on both sides, a clear pattern emerges here. There is no studied physiological benefit to abstaining from masturbation or ejaculation. You might see some claim that it improves testosterone levels, and while there was a study that found a link between prolonged breaks and elevated T levels, these levels returned to normal within just a few days. So that potential benefit isn't really worth it in the end. The actual article I'm getting this from says that to present the best possible semen samples with the best testosterone, an individual only needs to abstain from ejaculating for 1 day. It also suggests that people should not exceed 10 days of sexual abstinence. So at least 1, but not more than 10, I guess. And the levels will go back to normal after this period. So the studies on this have been minimal, but what we found hasn't been great. However, while there may not be any definitive physiological benefits, there certainly are mental benefits. No Nut November is really no different than a 30-day vegetarian challenge. Will it improve your life? Maybe. There's a chance. Eating meat still gives you protein, though, and that protein's gotta come from somewhere. Eating meat isn't inherently bad for you, and abstaining from it might give you some benefits, but it might also take away some other benefits. And it is most certainly not going to solve all of your problems, just like that. But what it can do for you is give you practice for controlling your habits. Self-control is a valued skill, and a challenge like No Nut November can give you that skill. Should you participate in No Nut November? Honestly, it's up to you. It's not gonna kill you, but neither is masturbation, no matter how frequent you have to do it, so it's kind of a moot point. If you feel your life needs self-control, then sure, give it a try. But if you're perfectly content, then don't feel bad for not doing it. Just laugh at the memes because they are pretty funny. If you want a challenge that's a little more guaranteed to give you some benefits, I would actually recommend No Porn November. You get the self-control that you want, but you can still ejaculate, and you can still masturbate. So you'll still get that lowered cancer risk, lower blood pressure, improved sleep, etc. I've tried this challenge, and I did see some benefits, and I had more powerful finishes when I went back to doing it. Without getting into the details, it was cool. I'll just say that. Before we wrap up here, there's a little more trivia that I want to talk about. There's a scientific term called coitus reservatus. Sounds like a Harry Potter spell, which is a form of sexual intercourse in which a man attempts to refrain at the moment before ejaculation for as long as possible. It's the actual scientific term for edging. I should also mention that some have assumed the No Nut November movement to be far right. This is probably due to the fact that ejaculation equals bad is seen in a few religious cultures, including the Catholic Church. But in reality, people are more complicated than right and left, and it's probably a mix of both. There's also the sister challenge to No Nut November, which is Destroy Dick December. Now, if you're like me, you're thinking, what? According to Wikipedia, this much less popular annual event offers a more hedonistic, but ultimately more difficult, cock-related challenge. Their wording, not mine. So you nut once on December 1st, nut twice on December 2nd, and so on and so forth until December 31st, where you must bust 31 nuts in 24 hours. I assume a plume of dust or ghost will come out. Yeah, I'd have to agree with that. If you try to nut 31 times in one day, you might actually die. Don't try that challenge. And that is pretty much it for No Nut November. I was expecting this video to be a lot longer and more in-depth, but there's really no reason to kick rocks on this topic. It either works for you or it doesn't, you know? You can try it if you want, but don't feel bad if you can't stick with it. If you have an actual compulsive behavior to masturbation, then you can seek medical advice. I hope that answers all of your questions. More sex education videos to come very soon, I promise. Remember, we have a Patreon if you want to support, and a Discord server if you want to engage with the community. Merch coming soon, I promise. I'm working on the designs right now, actually. I also have an Instagram art account where I occasionally post more Candles art. Candles is my avatar, if you didn't know. It's not super active right now, but I have a plan to put out some better art very soon. Also, comment below what the next video should be. My voice is completely shot by this point. Thank you for watching. I love you all. Good night.